Welcome back guys to We Talk Boxing, and this is my pre-fight video for this up and coming eagerly anticipated fight between Gervonta Davis versus Ryan Garcia, which is happening tonight, do you know what I mean, and it's taking place in the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. Now this fight will be shown live, you know what I mean, on DAZN. Obviously here in the UK it will be early hours in the morning, roughly around 5 a.m. in the morning. But it's going to be one of them fights which, realistically, most true boxing fans will get up really early to watch, or maybe stay up, depending on what they've got planned the next day, etc. But this is a fight which I'm looking very, you know what I mean, excited for. I really want to see it happen. I can't wait for both of these guys to get into the ring. I think you know what I mean, it's got the makings of being one of them fights which potentially we could look back on, you know what I mean, in a couple of years and say, you know what I mean, I stayed up for that fight, you know what I mean, and just kind of elaborate how brilliant it was, because it's going to be a big clash of styles between both guys. Now, you know what I mean, both of these guys are unbeaten. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, they've both got excellent boxing records. Gervonta Davis is 28-0 with no losses on his record, whilst Ryan Garcia is 23-0. Obviously, Gervonta Davis is slightly the older fighter in this fight. He is 28 compared to, obviously, Ryan Garcia, who is 24 years of age. But Garcia, you know what I mean, he is the taller man, being 5'10", whilst obviously Gervonta Davis is, again, roughly around 5'6". But he is a southpaw, Gervonta Davis, whilst obviously Garcia is an orthodox fighter. Garcia being the taller man, you know what I mean, he has got that bigger reach advantage as well, which is, you know what I mean, could be key in this fight. But, you know what I mean, both guys have, you know what I mean, have got power, you know what I mean, so realistically I can't really see this fight going the distance, but it could. Do you know what I mean? Ryan Garcia has 23 wins, 19 KOs with 83% KO rate, which is excellent. You know what I mean? If he was fighting any other fighter, you'd be wow. Do you know what I mean? Just watch out, because realistically, as soon as he hits you, you know what I mean, at some point you're going to go down and you're going to feel it. Similar to what happened to Luke Campbell. Do you know what I mean? Luke Campbell got in there with obviously Garcia. He was holding his own, and then bang, you know what I mean, from out of nowhere, that body shot kind of crippled him pretty much, you know what I mean, and that was it pretty much. But anyway, obviously Gervonta Davis, 28 wins with 26 KOs to his name and a 93% KO rate. So again, he is a similar sort of fighter. Got tremendous power in both hands. Do you know what I mean? And he can stop his man from pretty much any position. A little bit like, okay, the lighter version of a Deontay Wilder. Do you know what I mean? And he's proven it in some of his most recent fights. Do you know what I mean? One of his best knockouts, which I keep replaying every now and again, is the one against Santa Cruz. Do you know what I mean? With that lovely uppercut, which just come out of nowhere. Obviously, Santa Cruz was poking out with the you know what I mean? I think it was a jab a few times. You know what I mean? But it just wasn't committing. Obviously, Davis just whipped it up, and it was night, and he was out for time. And then obviously is like one of his most recent ones, which was against Rolando Romero. Again, pretty much a tough fight going into, but again, you know what I mean, he stopped his man. Do you know what I mean? And it was a big stoppage at the time, because, you know what I mean, Romero's no slouch. Do you know what I mean? He's a big puncher as well, big puncher. So yeah, this fight is going to be exciting. As I said, I don't see it going the distance, but it wouldn't surprise me if it did. And the longer it does, you know what I mean, the more it's going to be good for us, because realistically we get to see these guys test their skills, and it's a bit like a chess match. Do you know what I mean? Who's got the better boxing IQ? Who's got the better boxing technique, stamina, speed, strength, etc., etc. But anyway, you know what I mean? I am excited for this one, and I can't wait for it. Now, both of these guys, you know what I mean, they have been fairly active over the last few years. Do you know what I mean? So, which is quite good to see. So, realistically, there shouldn't be any real ring rust between both guys. And the good thing about this fight as well is that, you know what I mean, it pretty much is a boxer versus a puncher, even though both guys could punch, you know what I mean. But I'd probably say for distance, you know what I mean, at distance, I'd probably favour, in my eyes, a Ryan Garcia. up close. Do you know what I mean? And just applying that pressure, applying that kind of bully man tactics. I'd probably give it to Gervonta Davis, but both guys have power. You know what I mean? Both guys can switch up their style at any point in time, which is quite good to see. Um, Realistically, they both share a fairly common opponent. I think it's Francisco Fonseca. Both guys fought him. Do you know what I mean? Um, Gervonta Davis fought him. I think it was around 2017, and he recorded a late KO. Can't remember what round he KO'd him. But obviously I remember the Ryan Garcia one because that was more recent. That was in 2020, and he knocked him out within the first round. Realistically, it was an easy night's work. I remember watching that one. I thought it was going to be a bit of a harder fight for Garcia at the time, but it was comfortable. It was very, very, very comfortable. Now, obviously, like most of you guys, I've been watching the All Access. You know what I mean, between both guys. They seem very, very confident. You know what I mean, that both guys feel that they're going to get the win. Do you know what I mean? Saturday night, so it's quite hard to see. You know what I mean, to kind of see, oh, you know, who's maybe breaking under the spotlights, because it is a very big fight. You know what I mean, this is like similar to back in the days where we used to have like Oscar De La Hoya versus Mayweather, and Pacquiao versus Mayweather, or Pacquiao versus Oscar De La Hoya. It's that big of a fight. Do you know what I mean? And it's our first big fight for this year, and hopefully it could be a good year for boxing, because, as we said, there's a few other fights which are going to be, you know what I mean, happening this year, such as a Lomachenko versus Devin Haney one, you know what I mean, and maybe later in the year as well we might get, maybe, who knows, a Usyk versus Tyson, or AJ versus Tyson, or AJ versus Wilder. So there are a few good fights which are happening this year, so it could be a good year for boxing, but this is, in my eyes, kind of kicking it off, and I just hope it kind of lives up to the hype. But as I said, the All Access, both guys are motivated, confident. Do you know what I mean? You know what I mean? They've trained really hard for this fight, so realistically, I can't see any excuses at the end of the fight. The only excuses I could possibly see is if some guy pulls up with an injury during the fight, and you know what I mean, that's probably the reason why they didn't put on the performance that they wanted to. So yeah, it's going to be a tough fight for both guys. I don't see it going the distance, as I said multiple times in this video. But yeah, what does this do for the lightweight rankings? Do you know what I mean? It is being fought at 135. Obviously, Gervonta Davis does have, you know what I mean, a world, I think it's the WBA world title. Do you know what I mean, for the weight? Obviously, the full champion is Devin Haney. Do you know what I mean? So realistically, in my eyes, the winner pretty much should try and face the full champion, whether that be Vasily Lomachenko or Devin Haney, depending on who wins their fight next month. So it kind of sets up for another big fight, but also the loser could potentially fight the loser of that fight as well. So again, we could have, it could be like a bit of a mini tournament in the end. Do you know what I mean? But as I said, Davis is currently ranked as that, you know what I mean, WBA lightweight champion. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, Devin Haney um, is the full champion, but obviously Garcia. Do you know what I mean? Garcia is slightly different in the fact that he's ranked in a few of the governing bodies in this division, and a few more in obviously um, the other divisions as well, in the super lightweight division as well. So that's quite interesting, because I saw that and I was like, what's all that about? But anyway, yeah, he is currently ranked obviously number 3 in the Ring magazines and number 1 in the WBA, whereas he's ranked in the super lightweight as well, in number 11 in the IBF and number 8 with the WBC. So I'm guessing, do you know what I mean? For me, it'd be good for him to maybe challenge either the winner or the loser, depending on how he fares against Gervonta Davis. But it depends on how he is with his weight, because he could move up to that super lightweight and maybe try and go for one of the world titles, or maybe some big fights in that division as well. But it's going to be interesting. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I hope you guys are. Let me know in the comments below, how do you see this fight going, and who do you see coming out on top, and by what method? method, sorry, points, KO, stoppage. As always, let me know in the comments, and please like and subscribe and comment for more boxing related content. Bless.